Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Monday Mashup, the show we bring you on the upper tier on YouTube. Head over there, smash that subscribe and bell notification button. We also have our new audio channel as well. You can head over to Spotify, Google Podcasts, or Amazon Music, and you'll find Audioverse show there. Joining us tonight for our first Monday Mashup of 2022. As always, my partner on the show is Darren. How are we, Darren?
I'm okay, Noel. How are you?
Good, not too bad at all. I'm quite happy tonight, actually.
I bet you are.
Also joining us from originally the Dynamo Podcast Network, but now, Greg, how are we?
What's the story, boys?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm here.
Here.
I'm struck down at the minute, but I'm here.
He's struck down with the virus, as they say, because we can't mention that word here, or the algorithm doesn't like it. Greg, tell us about Retrotainment before we get into it. Retrotainment and Retrotainment Recast, they've new homes both for video and audio.
We do. We have new homes over on YouTube under Retrotainment, which you'll find Retrotainment Recast and Retrotainment, the two shows that we had on the network, where we review all movies, and Retrotainment, and then Recast is where we challenge each other to recast old movies with actors of today. And then, of course, we have On the Slab as well, which is gone over on to the Dynamo Dublin page, which you can check out that me, Ian, and Carl do on Her, All Things Her, which, of course, you've been on yourself now.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. And then all your audio, you have a new audio channel as well, Retrotainment, out there on Anchor.
It is, yeah.
Awesome.
I'm not very familiar with Anchor, but it does all that.
That's for people who don't like to watch, they like to listen.
Tonight's mashup is brought to you by Paraleaf for all the headaches in your joints.
Oh, good Lord. Sounds like you've put your boot through a telly or something tonight, but we'll get into it anyway, no doubt about it. Let's start a quick review of the results over the weekend, the key ones anyway. Arsenal 1, Man City 2. Greg, Arsenal probably feel a little bit hard done by here. They put in a real good shift against City, but walk away with nothing.
More than a little bit. Should have beat City, really. I thought Arsenal should have had a penalty. I don't know where the VAR came off, not giving the foul on Odegaard, was it? I think it was Odegaard.
Yeah.
With Edison. 100% thought that was a penalty. Didn't help then Martinelli missed an open net. Then City scored a minute later or 2 minutes later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's typical shit in the bed, don't it?
Yeah, it was kind of a weird one, wasn't it? But you kind of knew City just have that way of getting back into games, don't they? One way or another, you know.
Yeah, they will keep going from first whistle to last whistle. Like obviously being a United fan, it's not great to see, but it is great to see in terms of
yeah. Darren, a game that caused a lot of controversy on our WhatsApp group this weekend. Watford 0, Spurs 1. The late show again.
Yeah, another clean sheet from Spurs, isn't it? They're grinding it out under Conte, aren't they?
Yeah.
The results have really taken a turn for the better, and I still think the performances probably aren't where they want them to be. But I think when you're a new manager and you're trying to put new ideas across, it doesn't always come off as quickly as you'd like. But certainly the way he's able to organise that defence and get guys all pulling in the same direction has to be commended, you know. Yeah,
and a goal from an unusual goal scorer for them as well, out of nowhere with a lovely header to rob it, really.
He must have got off the back of the bus for 5 minutes to knock that one in, did he? Because usually he's an absolute cabbage. An absolute cabbage. Like, shocking.
A game that we said on the preview that will be a belter. Palace 2, West Ham 3. We called it, we said there'd be goals in and be a fantastic game.
Yeah, West Ham, you know, I got to say, I watched this game and Manuel Lanzini was just at a different level. He looks like he's back to that level he was at like 2 or 3 years ago when he first came into West Ham, kind of bedded in the team, was starting to play some unbelievable football, was linked with a couple of big moves. If I remember right, he was linked with a big move to Liverpool because he was playing some serious football. I think Liverpool were really hot on his tail at one stage. And he obviously had that really bad injury setting back, like, you know, and he kind of was way back into the team and stuff like that himself in Fornals. Seemed to swap that position in and out. One plays, one comes on, one plays, one comes on. But I mean, the weekend, the goal against Palace was an absolute screamer of a goal. Technically, he's so good. He's a very, very clever player, you know. But even for a guy who's so technical and so clever, he's putting himself about. And we'll get onto that later on about, you know, technical players not being able to put themselves about. But Lanzini ticks a box. Really, really good, have to say. David Moyes, we spoke about it, doing a really good job at West Ham there. I think Vieira's doing a great job at Palace, if I'm honest. They've been struck down with a lot of injuries, and obviously then they've got the AFCON coming up, so they've losing a few boys there as well and stuff. Yeah. January's going to be a tough month for them. But I think if they can ride the wave and just pick up a couple of results along the way, I think February and March, you should start seeing the best of Palace again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I feel it, as I said Palace would go down on the season preview. I said they'd be the one to go down.
Same, yeah. I called that as well, yeah.
I said Wolves would go down, so there you go.
Ted also said Wolves would get to the top 6, and that's looking all right now after the abuse that he got.
Absolutely.
Who's Ted?
Everton 2.
I'm our only kidding, Ted. We know who you are, pal.
Everton 2, Brighton 3. Greg, a man we revere a lot on this show, Graham Potter.
The Ginger Jose. No, that's your own, isn't it? That's now Potter's playing. They're doing really hell of a job of Brighton, isn't he? He has been playing great football. They look solid enough. All right, they got ripped apart a couple of times this season, but they look solid enough 80% of the time. Probably going to finish mid-table. Could potentially maybe try and push to get that Europa League conference thing. But I think that'll be a step too far for them, but they should be well safe.
Yeah, they kind of let Everton back into the game yesterday, second half, really, because Everton were kind of dead and buried. And in the end...
They weren't, because at 2-0, don't forget, Calvert-Lewin has an opportunity to make it 2-1 and make a real game of it until he decides, you know, to put that over the crossbar, like, you know. That was poor, I have to say. Yeah. Hi guys, missed you all. Badump, Rosed. Jesus, man.
That guy that was up in Rosed there, I owed him the football.
He obviously wasn't working on his touch while he was off. Jesus Christ, man.
Agent Rafa, huh?
Fucking hell, man.
Leeds 3, Burnley 1. Good win for Marcelo Bielsa. Well required, Darren.
Yeah, didn't see it, if I'm honest, as in didn't see the result coming. Thought Burnley came to Old Trafford last week, played reasonably well, you know. He picked them off a couple of times, but I thought Burnley were in the game for long periods. And I knew kind of they had our boy Maxwell Cornet coming back at the weekend. So I thought they'd really, really give Leeds a go. I thought it was going to be a physical game. But couldn't believe Leeds popping 3 in, you know, with no Bamford and no Calvin Phillips. You know, really, really good. And again, we spoke about it. They've tightened up at the back an awful lot, Leeds. Like, even in the games now, they're giving themselves a chance to get over the line in games because they're keeping the opposition down to 1 or 2 even. Because at certain weeks, you know, Leeds were shipping 4, 5, and 6, and it was all about, you know, trying to keep the score down. But now, when they can keep teams to 1 or 2, they're in with a chance of winning games. You know, it was a big win for Leeds. No, they couldn't. You know, they were like, you know, they're like a 24/7 centre.
Yeah, I don't know if you watched the game yesterday, but did you see that Rafinha miss? That Rafinha miss at the near post, that's a terrible miss. Wasn't a wide open goal there, you know? Really, really bad.
I think that Martinelli's miss has to be the miss of the season.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Absolutely. Like, that killed that game off. Leeds went on to win that. Arsenal go on to lose. Yeah.
I think Rafinha's miss was easier though. I think Martinelli, he was coming onto it a bit more, but came at him quite quick. But I think with Rafinha, I mean, that was an empty goal. You just have to slot it in. He puts it in straight inside netting, you know.
I think both of them should be shot with balls around shit after missing them. Two Brazilians missing own goals, like, and you've Romario and Ronaldinho going around 12 each, just put one into the bottom corner, like, it's a break, lads, will you? Jesus.
Chelsea 2, Liverpool 2. Greg?
Good game. It was a very entertaining game. Mane was very lucky to stay on. I know it came up on Ref Watch this morning or whatever. That he didn't think it was a red. I fully thought it was a red. It's a hand to the face. You know what I mean? You jump with someone and you elbow them in the face. It should be red. But fair play to them. They kept on. They were 2-0 up. Let it slip. So fair play to Chelsea for getting back into it. Very enjoyable first half anyway.
Yeah. It was kind of one of those games where it was a draw, Darren, so it didn't really benefit either team. It only benefit City, really.
Yeah, and maybe the guys behind City or behind Liverpool and Chelsea that are kind of thinking they might get within touching distance of them, you know. Spurs maybe in the show for a third spot at the minute rather than a fourth spot if they can keep the ball rolling the way they are. Like there's no reason Spurs can't catch Chelsea at this point for me, with what's going on and with the way Chelsea are playing and stuff like that, you know. It was a great game. I would disagree with Greg. I didn't think it was a sending off, if I'm honest. I think Azpilicueta goes down like he's been shot, and you're just thinking, get up off the ground, you absolute bag of fizz. I
think the ref, when they were asked about it, I think that the thing they were saying was they didn't feel it was
excessive force.
It's dangerous play, and they thought like he kind of hit him kind of with the side of the wrist as opposed to the flush of the elbow. And they said that they said there wasn't intent there in terms of violent intent, if you want violent play or something like that.
I think the only thing that saved him was his eyes were on the ball the whole time.
Yeah. They said that actually, Greg, you're right. They actually said that, he never took his eyes off the ball. If he had glanced first, they said he would have got a red potentially.
But I mean though, like an elbow to the face or an arm to the face is still an arm to the face. We've seen people be sent off for it this season.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not sure where the consistency runs. But I mean, like,
we know there's no consistency though. Look at week to week on the penalties and stuff like that. We know there's no consistency. So if we're expecting we're really hoping for the fucking, for the angel off the top of the Christmas tree, because that's not happening any week. I
think if the referee had sent him off, what was it, 6 seconds or 7 seconds in? You know what I mean? I think there'd have been more there.
You look at the City. You look at the City game versus Leicester, the 6-3, and the penalty that's given on Jordi Tillemans for the holding at the corner with Laporte. If there's any sort of consistency in the league, we see 2 of them a game.
Yeah.
And then if you get this call out of nowhere and you're like, well, hold on a minute here. Why is he giving a penalty there? This is happening in every single corner set piece. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing. If there's going to be consistency, there has to be across the board, but we're not going to get that. We know from what goes on in the league, and we know from the absolute snowballs in the middle of the pitch, they haven't got a fucking clue what they're doing. Whether it's Tuesday, Wednesday, or Friday, they're still looking for Sunday, thinking, what are we doing here? The referees, the standard of refereeing in the league is absolutely abysmal.
Should there be? I suppose where I'm coming from in terms of a consistency. I mean, I know there can be inconsistency in terms of the decisions and stuff like that, but in terms of the consistency of the use of the technology, I think that's what's frustrating a lot of people at the moment, that it's kind of willy-nilly. They decide when they want to go into VAR or not go to VAR, or whether the referee reviews or doesn't review, and that kind of thing. And I think there's an inconsistency there that I think they could tighten up a little bit on. I think the talk yesterday was that they didn't go to VAR for the Mane situation, but they went to VAR for the Mason Mount tackle on Costas, I think it was. And I think there's a little bit of inconsistency there. I think if VAR is there, to be used and you want that consistency, you either go to it or you don't go to it, but you have to keep it fairly consistent. You can't just pick and choose willy-nilly when you go and when you don't go. Either they bring in a rule and say, when an incident happens, you go to VAR, the ref reviews it, whatever it is, and you get the whole shooting match.
But is that not, the issue with going to Stockley Park? When they go to Stockley Park, whoever's on that day, be it me, you, or Greg, decides, yes, the decision is correct. No, the decision is wrong, or I'm unsure. I want them to have a look at it again, right? So if the guy looks at it straight away and goes, no, it's nothing for me, the rest doesn't get to see it. But that's not to say the decision isn't wrong. That's just to say the guy in the boot is going, no, I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's where I feel like there's got to be a consistency with maybe who's in the boot, who's in the VAR, who's looking at that. There's got to be rather than. Yeah, there's got to be, I know, there's 10 Premier League games a week. The same person can't do VAR for all 10 games. But if you say, listen, we stagger the starting times and we, there's 4 people, 5 people, and they do 2 games each over the weekend, you start to build up with a smaller panel, a little more consistency in the calls. And the call from VAR is the big call now, because that's where it's, no, it's wrong. Yes, you're correct. Or come and look at the screen. I think more often than not, if somebody in the booth in Stockley Park turns around and says, listen, let's say it's a penalty incident and it's a handball, let's take the Palace game the other day, the Milivojevic handball, right? Ref doesn't give it. Guy in Stockley Park says, I think it's given, right? Come and have a look at it. But we're already at the stage where we know when the ref goes to look at that screen, he's given it.
Yeah.
Right, the boys on Sky Sports are commenting like, he's going to look at the thing, he's going to give it, or he's going to look at the thing, it's going to be a penalty, or so they know what the decision. So if the guy at home knows what the decision is going to be based on the fact that the action he's taken, that's wrong in itself.
Yeah, I've only seen. I think in the first 6 months or the first 5 months of the season, whatever it is, I think I've only seen one case where there was a penalty given. The ref went and reviewed it, and then he overruled the penalty. It's normally the other way. And this is the concern with people as well, because you have ex-referees in Stockley Park as well. It's the boys' club together, really. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they're protecting each other in a certain way. Is there a case for certain situations? And I know you have to take every situation sometimes on its own merit, but is there a case where the ref should just go review it at the side of the pitch and cut out the crap? Because it's just, for me, it's just a little bit of time wasting at times, you know what I mean? Whereas if the ref goes and he reviews that, he can make a decision on it. He doesn't have to be told to go review it. And
it would probably take a lot less time for the ref to go, do you know what? I didn't get a great look at that tackle. I'm going to review it on the screen. I don't want to know what John over there thinks, because this is my game. I'm going to run the game. I'm the ref, right? I'm going to go and look at the screen. I go and look at the screen. It's a foul. It's a penalty. It's a handball. It's a free kick. Whatever it is, it's a yellow card. No, it's not a yellow. Actually, kid, it's a red. But he makes a decision himself.
Yeah.
Instead of John down the road going, well, sorry, I think you got that wrong. Or, you know what, John, you are dead right. Bloody, fuck you now.
Or maybe
they're making it very, very controllable.
Yeah, maybe it's a case that the 4th official could get more involved in the screen situation or something like that, because he's there right beside it. You know what I mean? So he's there working with the ref on the day, as opposed to some guy that's protected in an office 100 miles away or something like that, or 200 miles away, whatever it is. There's just that inconsistency, isn't there?
There's always going to be struggle between the consistency there, because there's a subjective decision yesterday. Greg think that's a red. I don't think it's a red. Now, if I'm the 4th official and I think it's not a red, and if Greg thinks, and he's the starting official, and he thinks it's a red, he gives the red, I go and review it, and I go, no, sorry, Greg, it's not. What does that do at the end of a game or at half time between a ref and a 4th official?
Well, you see, the thing about it is,
do you know what I mean?
What the 4th official decides doesn't necessarily have to get broadcasted. He can go over, review it, and he can come to a conclusion on it, and then he can consult with the ref when the ref reviews it and say, this is what I think.
Yeah, but if the ref turns around and says A, B, and C, you're still going to know the decision came from the 4th official.
To a point, but you may not if it's overruled or if he changes his mind, but it still doesn't make the 4th official look like an idiot, because you're not broadcasting.
Yeah, but it's still, those two guys still have to go in and sit next to each other in a change room at half time.
But those
you know what I mean?
Those 2 guys would consult regularly on the sideline in relation to issues. If managers are misbehaving or something like that, they would go over and have a word with each other before the decision would be made.
Yeah, but something that's gone on off the pitch, which the ref hasn't had a look at, but something where you're standing on the pitch, that's like the 4th official saying to the ref, do you know what, you're not really doing a great job here. You didn't get that one right. You didn't get that one. Do you know what I mean? I think that would be a tough decision.
Is that not his job? Is his job not to assist the ref, just like the linesman? They're part of it. That's one core team, really.
It is. But
he's the guy standing in the middle.
Yeah, but the FA haven't deemed that to be his role for him to get involved in the VAR. Do you know what I mean? They've deemed his role to be, and let the referee know when either the managers are stepping out.
I'm just thinking out aloud here, because he's standing right beside the fucking screen. Look, you know what I mean?
That would be the logical thing. I'd say yesterday, if that Mane tackle went to VAR, he was gone. If that had been sent over or looked at and reviewed, he was gone. I don't see a doubt in that. I kind of like seeing. All right, I thought it was a red, but like I kind of like seeing the referee saying, "Right, simple as that was the decision. We're going on with that." You know what I mean?
Personally speaking, I don't even like the way they use VAR, and because VAR was, when it was brought in, was supposed to be used in real time speed. Whereas every time we go and we look at a referee looking at a screen on the side of a pitch, it's a freeze frame of the contact. Now, if you freeze frame down anything to look at the contact, it's going to look an awful lot worse than it did at speed, or it's going to look an awful lot worse at such and such an angle.
Yeah, like if you freeze frame yesterday's one, it's going to look like Mane's arm is going right through Aspa's face.
If you just look at him making contact, you go, red card. But if you look at the whole incident, like Greg said earlier, if you look at it and you can see Mane watching the ball dropping out of the sky, and maybe he pushed the arm back, but the eyes are still on the ball, that's a dead giveaway for me. If his eyes are on the ball, that's not a red card. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely. If he turns and has a look over his shoulder and decides, I'm going to bury one on this Spick's nose, bang, grand, well and good, give him the red. But if that doesn't happen, if he's got his eyes on the ball, if he's, I still don't agree with an awful lot of the fouls with the use of arms and elbows. Because anyone that plays football knows you need it for leverage, you need it to jump, you need it to create a shield from the player behind you. So it's not realistic to say I can play football at a top level, at high speed, hold my balance, keep a guy off me and have my arms down by my side. It's not natural.
No.
So there's got to be, you're going to have it. And the more a guy behind sells the fall, the more people are going to go red card, red card. You'll see refs giving red card when they didn't even see the challenge because they'll go, well, he went down really badly. It must be a red.
And every player at the moment is going down like they've been shot at the moment.
Every one of them. I'm looking at my own tonight and they're going down and you're just thinking, why is he going down? Like, why are you going down? Like, just stay on your feet. He touched you. It doesn't mean because he touched you, you have to go down. Like,
It's beyond a joke at this stage. It's still a contact sport. Like, well, very rarely now, but it's still supposed to be.
Let's finish out with tonight's result. Anyway, Man United 0, Wolves 1. First time Wolves have won there, I think, were they saying in 40 years, 1980 was the last time they won at Old Trafford or something like that.
Bruno Largate was 5 the last time they won at Old Trafford, so yeah.
Thoughts?
He was probably playing as well.
Darren, give us your thoughts. I know you're chomping at the bit there. I can see it. You're about to explode.
Was just horrific. Like, it was really, really horrific. I gotta say, obviously we saw the team sheet, and the first thing was, what is Calamity Jones doing in the team? Why is he here? 706 days since he played. Well, I tell you what, that'll tell you how bad the other 10 was, because he was the best United player on the pitch by an absolute country mile. I saw the headline on TalkSport, United lose to Wolves after a late Phil Jones error. If that's an error, we're all in trouble.
It was an error. That's what I was going to say.
No, it's not an error.
I brought this up. That is one of the worst headers I've seen from a centre-back. He had a free header.
Have you watched Man United this season and you think that's one of the worst headers we've made? He was going away from the ball. It was a free header on the penalty spot. Where did he put it? He put it 24 yards. It was 24 yards out when Matilda.
He put
it outside of the box.
Yeah, he was out on the day.
Right in the middle of the goal.
Yeah,
right in the middle of the goal. If the keeper parries that ball into, say, the penalty spot, you'd be going fucking mental. If Harry Maguire made that header, people would be going mental. It was a Jones error.
I personally didn't think it was an error.
I thought it was a horrendous header from the centre half.
Yeah, I think normally if you were heading that, you would head it either. You'd head it either away, not into the middle, or you'd head it out of play. But I think to come in with that headline and pin it on him, this is a guy who hasn't played a match in 2 years. You know what I mean? He came in, he didn't look out of place at all, and as a matter of fact, he put in a very good shift for United.
He was unbelievable.
You know,
and if we're gonna put down, that as an error, whatever about it not being as good a header as he could have made, it's not a clear error. He hasn't fallen over his feet and dropped the ball into the goal. Like, it's a header that he's put 12, 14 yards on a header, right?
Now we know.
What about, don't forget, there's enough boys there in front of him that somebody could stick a block in,
Well, one went out to try.
Well, we know. Well, we know. Listen, we're not going to dwell too much on Talk Sport headlines anyway, because we know what their modus is anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's to fire you up. You know what I mean?
But that was the four. You know, Jones did very well. He was absolutely super tonight. I thought himself and Varane were excellent together. Really, really were. Wolves caused a threat all night, but I don't feel like, you know, I didn't feel like it was impending that they were going to score every time they came forward. I felt like they were going to create, but I felt like we defended well. I felt like we defended well, and that, you know, the two boys in the centre-back position did well for me, I have to say. Like, my issues are further up the field, you know. Like, we're devoid of any sort of creativity. The movement is shocking. You know, we're talking about, you know, we brought Ralph in to be this kind of tactical, technical coach. Like, we may as well have brought fucking the Grim Reaper in, because at the minute, there's not a solitary thing has changed since Solskjaer left the building. In fact, I would go and say it probably looks worse now than it did when Ollie left. And the 4-2-2-2 isn't working. It's not working so much. They changed it at halftime. They went with a back three, got the wing backs involved, got a little bit higher. Having wing backs is great. It's kind of important that you have wing backs that can cross the ball, though. So if we were going to play three centre backs, somebody needed to take Aaron Wan-Bissaka off and put Dalot on. Dalot has proven, you know, in the very short space of time that he's played, he can deliver. You know, he may not be as good a defender as Aaron Wan-Bissaka is, but he can certainly deliver. When you go to three centre backs, you're basically putting the onus on the defendant to those three centre backs. You're telling the two wing backs, we want you to get a bit higher. We're looking for you guys to create width in the team. You can't do that and have a guy that can't cross the ball. It's not going to work, like, you know. He took off Mason Greenwood, who, other than the two centre backs and the keeper, was our best player by a country mile. Was coming short, getting the ball. No, we took him off for tactical reasons. He said. He said because otherwise it would have been Eddie or Cristiano. And I was like, well, what about Jadon Sancho on the other side? Because he was having a fucking nightmare.
I think he got a fucking bollocking at halftime, because he had two chances to pass in the first half and decided to shoot. And then the one you expect him to shoot when he went 1-on-1 with the defender, he tried to pass it, and you're like, that's the one you try and pass.
The three biggest problems at United right at the minute, right? Here's the three largest problems we have. Number one, the decision making is shocking. When a guy gets down the line and he should put the ball in the box, he's rinsing it back inside. When he gets inside, or when he should come inside, he's going down the outside. It's always the wrong decision. It's Sancho 1-on-1 earlier. He has a ball into Ronaldo. It's Cavani. He has a ball out to Greenwood, and they're always choosing the wrong option. That's problem number one. Problem number two, individual battles, 1v1. We're not putting in the effort to beat the guy opposite us. I'm a tennis coach. I tell the kids when they go out to play, the absolute bare fucking minimum you bring to a tennis court is you work harder than the guy on the other side of the net. Now, whether he's better than you or he's worse than you, if you outwork him, you've a chance. If you're not outworking the guy on the other team, you've no fucking chance. And our lads aren't outworking the other teams. That's fact. You see them swanning around, throwing themselves on the ground, kicking up, pissing, moaning and whinging. Get the fuck up. Think about the jersey you're playing for. Think about the people in the stand. Think about the fucking history of our fucking club. We had to drag ourselves up off epoxy runway to keep this thing fucking rolling. And these pricks think they can come out here and play like that. No fucking chance of it. I'm in Old Trafford in about 3 or 4 weeks. I'm telling you, every fucking United player might wear earmuffs, because I'll fucking put them in their fucking graves playing like that with our epoxy jersey on.
Yeah, I think a couple of things that I touched on, Greg, before you come in. One of the comments that was made tonight was, if you were in a coma for the last 6 weeks, you'd still think Solskjaer's in charge. And the other thing that I noticed as well, Wolves straight away came out of the blocks and set the tempo. It was like as if Wolves were playing at home. And we've mentioned this a number of times on the show. When United are playing at Old Trafford, sometimes they just look like the away team, which is unforgivable, really. The other thing I want to mention, and Darren touched on it there in terms of decision-making, the worst one for me tonight was when Rashford picked up that ball and didn't put it out left to Shaw for the cross, and he turned back inside in front of 3 Wolves players. Was absolutely horrendous. Bread and butter stuff.
Four of them did a complete pirouette and then lost the ball and looked up and went, well, there was no one there. Well, you had an opportunity to put the ball, but you dwelled on it too long.
Well, there's a simple pass out to the left.
We have to stop taking 4 and 5 touches. take the ball. It takes one touch to receive it and one touch to fucking send the thing. You don't need 4 or 5 touches every single time. It slows the game down too much. And it means it gives the opposition time to get back into a defensive shape. Like,
I said it to you in the group chat, it might have been today or yesterday, that Rashford wouldn't be a professional footballer at top level if he wasn't quick. He's exactly like Theo Walcott was. His pace has kept him at top level. Because his decision making and his one-on-one finishing for a guy who wants to play centre forward is fucking horrendous.
What do you make of the lack of use of some of the players? Like, I mean, a game like that to me tonight, you know, you got to give the likes of Jesse Lingard a run out in that game, don't you? You got to bring someone like that on and change it up a little
Absolutely
bit.
Not. No, I can't stand him. I don't think he brings anything.
Well,
if
he doesn't bring anything, he brings exactly what was out there tonight, because none of them brought anything. So, like,
zero.
But you not think he might? Do you not think, like, even the young lad, what's his name, Alanga?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, why not give him 30 minutes? Why give him like 15 minutes or whatever it is, or something like that? Donny van de Beek, not a look in. You know,
he must be doing something really bad in training or something, because he's not got to look in with Solskjaer. He's not getting to look in now.
Do you know the only thing I thought tonight, Greg, with Donny van de Beek? I thought that they've already decided he's out of there in January in this window, and they're not going to put him on a risk of getting injured.
Well, Ralph came out already, said he's staying.
I know, but
we've heard that before as well.
But he said he's staying and he's going to give him game time and stuff like that. The chap under Ralph Rangnick has played 6 minutes. So someone's talking pony somewhere.
I said it to the lads in the group chat today when it was about 55 minutes or whatever. I said, you need to take McTominay off here. Like, he was booked at this stage. Matic was dropping way deeper. You might as well bring someone on who's going to try and go forward with it. And it wasn't that, like, McTominay didn't play well. No one did. But, you know what I mean? Might as well bring someone on in the middle of the park to change it.
We were devoid of energy. We were devoid of work rate. Like, you absolutely 110%, when you go to the 3 centre backs and you get Matic to drop in there, you take McTominay, who's already taken the booking, put Fred back in. He gives energy. We know the kind of energy he brings. We know he presses higher up the pitch. He can nick it. He was very, very good for 4 or 5 games there. And all of a sudden, he had a bad half last week against whoever it was. And he got the plug pulled on him. And he's been on the bench for 2 games solid. Hasn't got a minute. Do you know, you don't go from...
And actually, in that time, your midfield hasn't looked great at all.
Do you know? I would have 100% given Lingard a spin earlier, by the way. Absolutely. Because I think he brings an energy and an endeavour to the game. I think at times his quality is lacking. But if we look at the Lingard that went out to West Ham last season, are you telling me we couldn't have done with him on the pitch for the last half an hour tonight? Absolutely.
He doesn't do that for United.
But he still has the same energy and work rate. He still has the same energy and work rate. You know what I mean?
I think there would have been something there for United. When they brought Bruno on, I think if they had brought Jesse on as well and brought that energy from both sides and took off both boys, because they weren't bringing anything at all.
He missed the sitter as well.
Yeah.
Bruno. A sitter. An absolute sitter.
That was harder to miss than it was to score.
Yeah. He's 9 yards out. You know, the keeper's a big keeper. He fills an awful lot of the goal, but you can't miss them if you want to put yourself in a position.
Down as well.
No, but I mean, he's filling a certain size of the goal because he's so big. But, like, you know, so he can't knock it straight down the middle, because he hits the keeper anyway. He tries to push it away from the keeper and it comes off the side of his foot as he pushes it up too high. But I mean, it's like, you can't miss chances like that when you want to put yourself in a position to go and challenge for stuff. Albeit top 4 at the minute for us, if that's what our challenge is, we need to make sure when we get opportunities, you take them.
Yeah, I think on another day, if you're home and that goes in, I just think there's a bit of pressure there at the moment, isn't there? And there's a confidence issue as well. Like they said it even in commentary. I was listening to some of the United forums as well, and some of the boys on there as well, and they were saying, we even worry now, even when we're playing Norwich, even when we're playing Burnley, even when we're playing Southampton, we're worried about what might happen. And that's just a confidence thing, and it's a pressure thing, you know. And there's a lot of pressure on United at the moment to make that top 4. Because if they end up in Thursday night football and in the Europa League, which I still think I still think they'll make top 4. But if they don't, you know, then, you know, the likes of Ronaldo goes off. And I know some of you guys may think maybe that might not be a bad thing. Might be a
absolutely.
good thing, you know.
As great as it was getting him back, and his goals have been ridiculously helpful at times, it is just papering over cracks again. Like
Yeah.
that wasn't the player that we needed. Right,
No.
15 million quid. 15 million quid, you take it any day of the year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like any team would have been mad not to take him for 15 million. But we needed someone else, and playing with Ronaldo at the minute is like playing with 10 men because he's doing zero.
Commercially, the 15 million is why the deal is so easy to be done, you know. But you're 100% right, Greg. You know, we're playing with 10 men when we play with them. And you can't afford to carry guys when you don't have a level of ability. You know, like if you're like City and everybody on the pitch is up, like you look at their right and left backs, they're two ballers. Do you know what I mean? If you've got Walker and Cancelo, you're like, Jesus Christ, these guys could hurt us, right? Nobody looks at Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Luke Shaw and goes, these lads could hurt us, right?
Yeah.
You know?
I think you have to have a kind of a certain player, don't you, to be able to carry a player like that in your team. Like you need those workhorses in there. Like if you look when he was at Juventus, he had the likes of Dybala in there and guys like that, Vidal, who worked their socks off. Like
it's funny when I came into the house. I was just out a few minutes ago. When I came into the house, the Gary Neville soccer box was on there, and they were looking at a Liverpool United game with Jamie Carragher, and two of the players that Neville picked out were Darren Fletcher and Ji-sung Park. And he said there was a 5-year period where they just ran our team. He said, and the reason we could have Tevez, Rooney, and Ronaldo in the team was because we had Fletcher, Carrick, and Park. He said, and you just had lads that were working their socks off to give the boys ahead of them a platform. Now that takes two things. It needs somebody to be a little bit kind of sacrificial and go, do you know what? I'm going to be the guy that's out there and just putting the shift in week to week. And if I don't get all the plaudits, and if I don't have 10 assists, and if I don't create 14 goals, I don't care. So that in today's day and age, that takes a big footballer to go, I don't need that. That's why there's only one or two N'Golo Kantes. Do you know what I mean? Because the guy doesn't worry about it. You know, pick me or play me, whatever. I don't give a fuck. And he's one of the guys you'd have in your team sheet every week if he was at your team. You know what I mean? And
I'm
the other
surprised
thing is,
he's not in the Chelsea team all the time.
He's had a lot of injuries.
I know he's injured.
Yeah,
but when he's fit, I'm surprised he doesn't play week in, week out.
He'd be if he was at United, he'd be the first name in the team sheet. You know, he's that good. He really is.
If I was United, I'd go and break the bank for him now.
And the other thing is that you need ahead of that is you need to have the quality that can go and win your games. Now, arguably, you know, we feel like maybe United do have the quality, but there's no level of consistency there in the quality we have. You know, there is goals. We've spoken about it before. There's a great goal here. There's a great goal there. There's moments FC, but there's not a prolonged period where you think, when I look at the likes of Liverpool, I don't look at United and go, Salah, Jota, Mane. They always look like they're going to or could score. I don't look at, you know, the 3 or 4 across the United front and think these guys always look like they could score. Sancho tonight could have been out there for 3 bleeding games. He still wouldn't have got one on target. Do you know what I mean? Greenwood, although his endeavour and his work rate was very, very good, again, from an attacking threat, he didn't bring an awful lot. Cavani, Ronaldo, completely devoid. Like, what was the point in playing 2 boys up front when you got no service to either of the boys, and none of them, you know, they didn't make runs to stretch it to get the Wolves defence turned, nothing like that.
Yeah,
like we were pulverised by a 35-year-old Jaume Coutinho. Pulverised.
The one thing I noticed as well when they play Cavani and Ronaldo, I've noticed Cavani lately is having to drop a lot deeper to get involved in the game, as opposed to being that forward type of guy. And the thing about Cavani as well is we know that he's lethal when he's in the box. That's his place to be. So you're relying on that quality, as you said, Darren, coming in from the wings and the crosses and stuff. And if that's not there, he's just redundant in the game. You may as well not be there. But he tends to, the one thing I'd say about Cavani as opposed to Ronaldo, he puts in a shift. He puts himself about. Like he covers mileage. Whereas if you look at Ronaldo, he's kind of a bit petulant that way. He kind of sees it as not being his job.
Yeah, and he also, the other thing that really annoys me about Ronaldo is, you know, and this is the thing I feel like we need at the minute. Ronaldo scored an awful lot of goals in his career. I don't feel like goals mean what they meant for Ronaldo, you know, in his absolute peak. Another one is great, but he's not making the runs continuously. He makes the run, doesn't get the ball, right? Makes the run, maybe the second time. And then you get this, and then he doesn't make the third run. And the third run is eventually the time that the boy with the ball is gone, I'm going to put it in. And then he has made the run. And then you're looking going, well, I've put the ball into an area where you've made 2 runs, keep making the run. I've now realised what you want me to do. Like they look like they're knitting it again. It goes there. nobody moves, and then the fans are looking, going, "Why does he put a ball into an area where there's nobody?" Well, he put a ball into an area, a bloke made 2 runs in it, and then pulled out and went, "Nah, you're all right." Whereas with a younger guy, with a hungrier guy, with a guy that's maybe trying to prove himself a little more, maybe makes that 3rd run, maybe makes that 4th run, and gets 1 out of the 3 or 4, and you get something out of it. But the Ronaldo's level of petulance is fucking at sky high.
I suppose when you look at it as well, if it's going to be, say, Wan-Bissaka and Ronaldo's not going to look like the fool in any situation. It's always going to be out to that other younger guy who's made that 3rd movement, if you like.
I would have to say tonight, Wan-Bissaka put in 2 great balls in, and both Ronaldo misjumped both of them.
And they were both too high. They were both over here. They were good balls, as in the intention was right, but they were both like 6-7 inches too much above where Ronaldo could get to. You know how Ronaldo drives. He leaps like a salmon. Like he was at his absolute peak, and it's still over his head.
It looked to me that he jumped way too early for at least the first one, because he was way in the air as soon as that left his foot.
He's always in the air though, because he hangs. We've seen that hang. When it's 7 inches above it, like you can't make yourself any bigger, or there's no trampolines underneath.
I think he made the point himself when he started doing this as well. He wasn't a million miles away from it, but he was pretty close. You know what I mean? But again, as I always say, you're not sure when he starts doing this. Is he saying, "Oh, I just missed it," or is he saying to the other lad, "This should have been down here"? Is he having a go? You know what I mean? You just don't know with him, with what he's trying to do, But certainly interesting at the moment at United. It's still trying to fix up.
Just one other thing on United. I didn't like seeing them walk out today with Cristiano having the armband on. Not for me. I think when you've got a dressing room like we've got with all that's going on and stuff like that, I don't think it's a great sign to the rest of the players. I'm going to give it to this guy who was rolling around on the ground, throwing his arms up, pissing them on, and walking down the tunnel. Here's the armband, pal. You're doing a great job. Who thought that was a good idea?
Who'd you put it on, Darren?
The only person you can put it on, based on performances, is David De Gea, because he's the guy that is standing up to play like a captain week on week. Might not be talking to guys like a captain, but he's digging them out of a hole every fucking other week. And I mean, at half time, at half time we could have been 2 or 3 down today. And it's David De Gea. We see it in the group chat. You're like 15, 20 minutes in. Well, man of the match again. So how would you not put the armband on him? How would somebody not go, he's our best player by a country fucking mile and has been all season? He gets the armband. No, we'll give it to your man who twice in the last 4 weeks has marched off down the tunnel with his ball because it wasn't going his way. Lads, for fuck's sake, are we joking?
Was it Gary Neville that said McTominay should have had it? Or someone on Sky Sports said McTominay should have got it.
No, Paul Ince was saying McTominay. Paul Ince. Yeah.
He'd have been a better punt than Ronaldo.
Yeah, well, I think the point that Ince made was he was saying that the likes of a younger player like a McTominay who's hungry and has that endeavour and that energy and stuff like that might do a better job of it as opposed to Ronaldo and stuff.
A captain's armband could make that kid 3 or 4 inches bigger, make him a step or 2 quicker, make him a little bit stronger in a tackle because he's got that armband on. Not going to get that Ronaldo. Shouldn't make any fucking tackles.
I suppose
he played like a captain the other night against Burnley. I know it's only Burnley, but he was phenomenal out there.
And he's a lad that's been there at the academy, for a long time. He knows about the values of the club. You know what I mean? It's like this fucking rolling on the ground. Every time somebody looks at him, he's on the ground and he's kicking and doing this. And you're like, if it's not him, it's Bruno. And if it's not Bruno, it's the other prick that's been on his holidays. Fucking Pogba. He's the same. Like, you're 6'2", you're about fucking 15 stone. Why are you letting Calvin Phillips, who's half the size of you, shove you around on the bleeding ground? Get up and put one on him. Grow a pair of balls, pal, will you? Fucking start representing instead of rolling around like some fucking pansy on the ground. Ref, he took the ball off me. That's what the game about, man. Give it fucking over, will you?
Yeah.
Sake.
Interesting times ahead, anyway. Let's talk about a few topics, lads, that I jotted down. The first one was we can't get away from the situation with Lukaku and the interview with Sky Italia and the stuff that's come out from that. But news coming out today, obviously, is that they've had a meeting and it's kind of a little bit of smoothing, if you like. Greg, what was your initial thoughts on it when this all came out? I mean, I suppose as United fans, you are probably not surprised at all, really, that this is the way this has gone, because when most Chelsea fans were losing their head and saying this was the final piece of the jigsaw that we needed to push on, you guys were saying it'll last for a little while, but then the old Lukaku will come back, and you guys have been kind of proven right.
Yeah, like they're like when you look back in the group chat there when Ian was all delighted with it, and me and Ted said it to him, says this will only gonna be a quick piece. He's a cunt, an out and out cunt. He's exactly like Pogba is, and no surprise that they're best mates either.
Yeah, she's one of his buddies, isn't he? Jobs for the boys, pair of pricks.
Yeah. Cunt.
Pair of pricks.
I actually, the one thing I found, the interview with Sky Italia was fucking crazy to do. I mean, I know he's trying to force a move out. Fine, you go and ask, you hand in the transfer request. That's fine. You don't go and slate the club and slate whatever. But I love the Inter fans leaving the sign on the thing, being like, you can fuck off.
I wonder, I'm trying to wonder what way that works contractually. I mean, if you think about it, he's only at Chelsea now 5 months, 100 million transfer fee, you know, probably costing them upwards of what, 250 a week in wages, I'd imagine.
250 anyway,
a quarter of a
Absolutely.
mil anyway, at least, you know. I'm wondering contractually, do they put anything in there as a safeguard to say, if this goes south or something like that, is there reprehensions? Is there something that can be done or stuff like that? Because we were talking, Darren, the other night on the transfer show about it, and we were saying, well, where does this leave everyone now? You know, Chelsea are left with a bad egg. They don't know what they're going to do with it. You know what I mean? It's very hard to understand where that's going to go. Inter Milan are saying they don't want them. There's only a select few that can afford them.
Yeah.
And it's like, would they be interested in taking, and probably wouldn't want them. So we're like, this guy is kind of left in limbo now a little bit. And so something had to be sorted out today with Chelsea, didn't it? They had to fix.
Can you understand?
He had to pucker those lips up and start kissing ass today, I bet. I'd say to kiss more than one arse today to get his little, you know, you're okay, Big Rom. You'll do fine here for another little while. I'd say he was kissing everybody's ass up at Stamford Bridge today. Marina Granos Square gives a kiss of that.
You understand why United fans were delighted when he fucked off? Yeah. Even if it was for 5 million less than we paid for him, or exactly what we paid for him.
And he's back on the pizzas, fucking pudding.
Yeah, I wonder, like from an agent's point of view and stuff like that, and also from an advisor's point of view, who was advising them in terms of doing these kind of things? You know what I mean? Like
it shows a real lack of and level of intelligence when he goes and does an interview like that and thinks he's going, or a level of, you know, arrogance even, where he feels like I can go on and have an interview like this and everything's still going to be okay in my little world. Like,
and you're playing, and the worst thing about it is he's found himself in a brilliant position. He's at a great club with a great manager who are the European champions. Okay, I know the wheels have come off a little bit in the last, say, 5-6 weeks or whatever it is, and things aren't as rosy as they looked and stuff like that.
It's a winning game.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? They're still a very, very good club. There's still a lot of talent there. Tuchel is an exceptional manager. They're the current European champions. You know what I mean? What would possess you to come out and give an interview like this, literally throwing the club and the fans and everything under the bus and thinking that this is not going to get a reaction? Like,
maybe that's all he's looking for.
Like, imagine being that arrogant and feeling you could go and do that. And like, you know, let's not forget, and this is where it gets forgotten a little bit at Chelsea, because obviously you've got Abramovich who bankrolls the club at Chelsea, but for most clubs, finance from clubs comes in from fans and from, you know, TV deals and revenue and stuff like that. Now, those fans that are in those seats at Chelsea, which are, from what I believe, the most expensive seats in the country, in the Premier League, Chelsea seats, yeah, they're paying his wages and he's coming and wiping their nose in it. Like, have a bit of respect, pal, will you?
Even in face of the owner, like the owners just wrote a check for 100 million and sent it into Milan,
100 million,
who were about to go down to Swanee financially. You know what I mean? Like, it's
he bailed them out, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it was just such a weird move. I couldn't understand it at all. We were gonna have a chat about refereeing and VAR and the inconsistency of it, but I think we've covered that already in our earlier chat. Newcastle, we covered it a little bit in the transfer show. Greg, we haven't heard from you yet. Obviously, you're on tonight. Newcastle looks like they're out to sign a few players in this window.
Trippier's the first one in, isn't he? That deal was apparently struck on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, and now Atletico are trying to get out of it. You're like, what the fuck is going on here? He wouldn't be the player. I know they have to shore up, but I don't care who they sign. I think they're going down. They need to sign fucking Messi or somebody to try and keep them up, because San Maximan looks like he's out for about 8 weeks now, and whoever else is missing. But it's fucking, they're out to sign a few players. That's fine. No good if you can't win a game, like, and they're not going to come straight in and change the nature and the mentality of the team. Yeah, it might get a boost, but teams are still going to find Newcastle out. Trippier is not going to keep you up.
Yeah, I suppose if you bring him in and you were to bring in a combination of a couple of other good players as well, plus maybe a sprinkling of loan signings. Now, I know obviously it would take time to get them to gel together and change all that. And at the same time, you could be still losing points and slipping a little bit down. But they're going to have to do something, aren't they? Because like going down into the championship, this is like from a takeover point of view and the investors and stuff like that, they can't let this happen. Sure, they can't.
Something has to change next week, really.
Excuse me.
It has to change now, because the mentality that they have is we're getting paid and we're going out. They have the same kind of mentality United have. There's nothing to really fight for. No one's fighting for anything at Newcastle, bar St. Maximin, and maybe the goalkeeper. They're the only two that are really playing.
Joelinton in some game against us last week, didn't he?
Yeah. No, his new position has been very good for him. But like, it's a championship midfield when you start one of the two long staffs. I don't know which one it is. And Shelby is the other one.
Matty only just came back from loan from Aberdeen, but the fact he's on loan at Aberdeen tells you what level he's playing at. Do you know what I mean?
Of course, they had two fucking spectacular debuts against us, but
how in God's name they're getting away with a midfield which includes John Joe Shelby and Isaac Hayden in the Premier League is a fucking farce.
And Longstaff, yeah.
Well, I suppose
Longstaff probably the best of the three.
Yeah, well, I suppose the argument is they're not getting away with it, are they?
Right, and you know what I mean? And from a defensive point of view, we spoke about it already. How Kieran Clark's let into the stadium is beyond me. The two best centre-backs they have are Jamal Lascelles and the boy Fabian Schär, who's done a super job of Switzerland for years now. How they're not play. When we played against them last week, they played Schär and Lascelles, and they look like a really solid partnership. You know, really did. Yeah, he is. He's good. He's very good, in fairness to him, you know. It takes a player to look decent in a team that bad, and he does look like a player in his defence. I think they need help up the top. Really, really do. I think, you know, they need a little. That'd be death by transfer, signing Martial. Really, really would. Like to bring
Martial and Phil Jones there, you'd be grand.
To bring some. Well, listen, on tonight's performance, you'd take Jones in a heartbeat, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but
if you were Newcastle,
2 weeks before he gets injured.
But listen, I don't want to take their chances now, but like on tonight's performance, you take him in a heartbeat. But on Martial, like that's like going to the shop and buying cancer. That's what that's like. That's like going to the shop and buying over the counter cancer. How's it going? I'd like a cancer that'll kill my football club in about 6 months. Oh, I've got 2 Anthony Martials on the shelf. Would you like one for each side? Fuck off.
Can you imagine?
Absolute degenerate. What a
we had a Ballon d'Or clause on him as well. I'd say Monaco are sitting there going, what were we?
But imagine Monaco decided, hang on, we get an extra 10 million if he wins the Ballon d'Or. That's a great deal. We thought we were badly run. Somebody agreed to it.
It's just when Greg said that. When Greg said that there now, I had a picture in my mind of Anthony Martial standing on the stage holding the Ballon d'Or trophy, going, "Oh my God!" When did anyone think at any stage that was going to happen? At any stage,
you know, in Martial's head. Remember that scene from Dumb and Dumber where Jim Carrey's like, "So you're telling me there's a chance?"
Yeah.
No,
absolutely.
It's not.
I just wanted to touch something that kind of started this weekend. Safe standing. Darren's after I don't know, he's probably run out of battery or something like that. Greg, safe standing kicked in this weekend. They started trialing it.
I like it.
What's your thoughts on it?
I like it. I think it brings back some of the old feel of football stadiums. There's some stadiums that literally you go to and it's like a library. Old Trafford can be like that. I know Liverpool have great atmospheres at times, but sometimes it's quiet there. I mean, I think the standing will bring back closer to the pitch, and things like that. It'll certainly benefit the likes of West Ham and whatnot. Have it obviously moved away from the pitch. But I think it's better for some fans. So that kind of way, now you're gonna get fucking arseholes that go in there and start fights and everything, and it'll be taken away in about 2 weeks. But I like the idea. I was all for it when it was announced. Was 2 years ago? They said they were going to try and bring it in.
Yeah, I find I'm not sure yourself find this as well, but I find when I'm at a game, I normally spend most of my time standing up anyway, because you rarely kind of sit down. You only sit down kind of when Stuart tell you to sit down, but you're generally standing at the games anyway. But I just find when I'm standing, there's a different energy to it, isn't there? There's a different involvement to it. It's like you're nearly kicking the ball at times, nearly, you know.
Oh well, I'm notorious for that. I'll be heading every ball away, everything. But like I'm up and down like a fucking yo-yo when I'm watching if I'm at a stadium. It's like a fucking exercise class, up, down, up, down, up, down. And it's like I'm very happy for it, and I was hoping to try and get over this year to Old Trafford, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Yeah. Just another one I wanted to bring up. Chelsea legend John Terry was talking about guys being nominated, you know, for the MBEs and the OBEs and all this kind of stuff. And Gary Neville came out and he says, what did he say? He says he would rather win an award for most improved in a Sunday League team or something like that. That's what he thought of it, as reported by the Daily Mail. But it's an interesting thing. And then we've heard, I think Jeff Stelling as well on Saturday spoke about it as well. And he said that he thought that, you know, this thing should be reserved for people who make huge contribution kind of things, charities, communities.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff, that it shouldn't really be for like footballers and all that kind of thing. What's your thoughts on that?
Like, there's certain people that do a lot of work. Like, I know Alex Ferguson got knighted for pretty much winning the treble. Or he got an OBE or whatever for thing. But there's no way. Like, you're doing your job, mate. You know what I mean? Whatever, yeah, it's a great sporting achievement. Was it Andy Murray's an OBE or an MBE for winning Wimbledon? You fuck off.
Yeah.
I know.
But then I suppose you look at Marcus Rashford and the stuff he's done for the school kids and the lunches and the things like that. No, I think
God knows he's not playing like a fucking footballer anyway.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. If you're putting yourself out there and you're going above and beyond, and it's kind of you're using your influence within football to influence these things, I think it's no harm if there's recognition there in relation to that.
That's fair, yeah. Like whatever for doing charity work or whatever, like, but you'd have to state that this is for your charitable work, not because you went out and played football. Fair play to Marcus Rashford, he's doing that, but he's doing fuck all on a football pitch. You know what I mean? So like, there's no way. Like, if he gets it for that, fine, or he did get it for that, or he didn't become an honorary doctorate or something, didn't he?
Yeah.
But like things like that are fucking stupid. You're doing your job. You're a sports person. Great. Fair play to you. You know what I mean? You're very good at it. Even better. You're making loads of money. You don't need to be knighted or fucking whatever else for the joke.
Yeah.
There's people that are like whatever about soldiers or whatever that save people's lives and don't get it. And then this fucking guy wins the Champions League and he gets it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
More deserving people than sport people.
Yeah, there's an interesting.
There are certain people in sport that do a lot of work, like as you said, Rashford. I mean, things like that. People that do charity work, fine. You know what I mean? But like for a sport and achievement itself, no, not for me.
Yeah, I think if sports comes into it, it shouldn't be like you should be honoured for your contribution to sport. It should be more you should be honoured for your contribution to society in how you used your position within sport to benefit society as a whole, or through charity or community service or whatever it is, you know, that kind of thing.
That's what they do in the NFL. So they have the Walter Payton Man of the Year. So that each team will nominate one person who does charity work and things. Let it be that. There you go. You won that award. Fair play to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah, it's like we seen it in WWE with Titus O'Neil. He's won a number of awards and stuff like that for his contribution to the community and stuff like that. Not because he's a wrestler, but because he used his platform to help communities out and stuff like that. Yeah.
Fair play to him. You know what I mean? It takes a lot of people. You're training probably 4 days a week, 5 days maybe. You know what I mean? And then you're going out and doing things like that, and then trying to juggle your family or whatever. You know what I mean? Fair play to you. But to be knighted for playing football, no, not for me.
Yeah. Final thing I just wanted to touch on, the AFCON. First of all, your thoughts on the AFCON in terms of it. I mean, we love the colour and the glitz and the glamour of this kind of tournament and stuff like that, and how it exposes us to the different sort of, within each of those countries and all, the dynamic within that continent. But in terms of it going on at the moment, with everything that's going on at the moment, and also just touch on Watford, I see we're blocking SAR from going to the AFCON, and I think Senegal were going to escalate it up into FIFA and UEFA and the Premier League and all this kind of stuff. So no doubt Senegal will get their way and they'll get their player, no doubt.
But it's going to be banned. It'll be banned if not, because they have that rule. Remember, was it Liverpool and United were missing players, and Chelsea were for not letting them play in. Do you know what I mean? So what's the point? Let them go. You're going to be banned from playing them anyway. Do I think it should happen? Absolutely not. All it's got to do is, no doubt, there'll be another variant somewhere along the way, and it'll come back from there. You know what I mean? I don't think I've really ever really watched much of it, because it's normally on during the Premier League time anyway, so it doesn't really affect me because United never really had many go.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, it's on. Fair play to you. I might watch the final if there's nothing else on the telly. The final's usually normally on Sunday. It's usually around Super Bowl time. So it takes that out for me. But no, I don't think it should happen. Not with everything that's going on. The world's bad enough with fucking everything that's going on as it is. You know what I mean? Numbers skyrocketing and things. There's no way that it should be happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like how many you've got to be missing?
How many?
How many players are you missing now? 3, is it? 4?
Yeah, we're missing 3. Yeah. But then I did an episode on the AFCON actually, and I looked at it, and I think the likes of, maybe I'm right or maybe I'm wrong now, I know Watford get obliterated by it. I know Watford, I think, have 5 players going to it, and 5 players that would be in their match day squad. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean,
but they've a bunch of players, and I think I looked at, there was another one as well. There was 2 teams in the Premier League that were both losing 5 players to it. I think Norwich might be one actually. Is it? I'm not too sure now.
I couldn't tell you. I don't tend to.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I only know we only lose 1.
Yeah, I think it was either Norwich and Watford both have like at least either 4 or 5 that go to the AFCON. Now I know, looking at Norwich playing week on week, maybe the guys that are going for them, maybe they aren't in their starting lineup kind of thing. But I know with Watford, Watford are losing key guys. You know what I mean? Like,
Sarr's their best player.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. I think I'd say probably one of the 2 centre halves will go as well.
Yeah, I think, am I right in saying your man Emmanuel Dennis?
He'll go as well. I think. Yeah.
Well. So just imagine what that does. Yeah. So they're losing key players. So it's a tough one for them at the moment. You know. Now I know we're obviously losing Mane and Salah and Keita. So Keita,
Matip, no.
Which?
Matip.
No, Matip retired. He came out of it. He had a head-to-head with Cameroon, didn't he? I think it is.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's Cameroon. He had a head-to-head with Cameroon, and he basically told them, he turned around to them before they said, look, I'm retiring from international football. He did a head-to-head with them about, I think it's either 3 or 4 years ago. I'm not too sure. And he basically
he's been gone for that long, has he?
Yeah, and I think he told them to stick their international football. I think it's about 3 years ago or something like that. I remember. But when they came out him, they came out and they threatened him with that ban that you were talking about. And he turned around and says, you don't have to ban me because I'm actually retiring from international football. And
Well, that's your way out of it, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think that was even I don't think that was even at a time where things were up in the air at like now or anything like that, or it was during a Premier season or anything like that, because normally they'd run them a bit in the summer. But yeah, it was he just came out and he just basically gave him the two fingers, said, you don't have to ban me because I'm retired. And that was that.
Yeah,
like, you know.
actually what now.
Yeah.
No.
I suppose it's a bit more high profile now because the African continent has stepped up greatly in terms of its seat at FIFA and stuff like that. So it's a big part to play now. And you can see a lot of the players
as well.
Yeah. But I think you wouldn't get the likes of Salah or Mane doing that because they're basically gods in their countries in terms of the charity work that they do outside of football and using their platform. So it's a kind of a different situation.
I think Drogba really broke the mold with that, didn't he?
Yeah.
He became very public with it, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that.
Yeah.
And then obviously other players have taken after. Now that's not to say he was the first one to do it.
Yeah.
But,
well, I suppose the evolution of social media as well just means it's more visible and everything because everything's kind of out there, you know. Whereas before, a lot of these guys would get in, they'd be doing work in the background that people would know about, but it would kind of go unnoticed to the normal guy in the street. Now you see it all, you know.
like even I read the Mane one that is like when we had to build a hospital in the town because it was 12 miles or something to the next town that had a hospital or something.
Oh yeah, he's constantly involved. You see him even in his downtime in the summer and stuff like that. He goes back to the village where he came from and stuff like that, and they're building houses, they're building schools, they're building hospitals. He's involved in the whole thing, like, you know.
I've seen videos of him doing like coaching kids and all. It's fair play to him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you want from professional football.
Oh yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier with these MBEs and OBEs and all. These are the guys that are using their platform to do the right thing, you know.
And then you have Pogba and Lukaku doing what they're doing, being fucking bellends.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, pleasure having you on the show again. Anyway, hope you're doing good. Stay healthy and stay safe. Anyway, this has been the Monday Mashup on the Upper Tier on YouTube. Audio versions show on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. I don't know where Darren went. He must have been devastated by the United result tonight so much. He blew a gasket and off he went. And I would have
ended up in the fish tank.
Yeah, and I would have liked to get his comment on the MBEs and the OBEs because I know he speaks very strongly about these things. Listen, till next time, my friend, an absolute pleasure. Cheers for coming on.
Yeah, right, good.
Cheers, bud.